everybody, and welcome back to the funniest tweets. Today we are going to be talking about the Australian Grand Prix, a race that I thought was going to be simple, straightforward, just talk about a bit of Ferrari pain and we're out the door. But no, the FIA stepped in several times and created one of the craziest endings and confusing endings that we've had in a little while. If you want to get involved in funniest tweets next time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix and beyond, use the hashtag P1 and your tweet might be featured. Leclerc DNF. What?
Leclerc.
That's
Leclerc's
Leclerc.
in the gravel.
I'm gonna throw myself off a balcony.
We didn't jinx them.
Why is Leclerc in the gravel? You abs. Tell me he got
Alpines.
out. Tell me he got out. Yeah, we're talking about the start of the race now, and one particular instant that a lot of you came and joined our Matt P1 Tommy Twitch watch along and said, "Hi Matt, oh, let's see how he's reacting today." Because of course Leclerc went backwards into the gravel, and I am totally okay. At Mark Stappen, life of Charles Leclerc fans. Hey, sorry, I'm just in a bad place right now. Damn, Leclerc fan. I honestly think you take some pleasure out of this, don't you? You watching right now. Especially the ones that either tune into this series, thank you for watching, but also screw you, or into our Twitch watch-alongs or whatever, you actually enjoy my pain, isn't that right? There's quite a few tweets on this topic, as you can probably imagine. At Heaver Marius, the FIA to Leclerc. It was an incident, to be fair. I'm not going to kick off as much as my emotions at the time was like, oh my God, how do I blame Stroll for this? You just couldn't. It was a racing incident. Charles clearly having a bad qualifying, not a great weekend, wanting to make up a position or two at the start was pretty audacious on the brakes. And it was just 3 doesn't really go into 1. And it was unlucky. It was a small tap. But that's all he needed. And he didn't finish. At JohnTees_corner, life as a Ferrari fan. Again. I mean, last year we called it pain, right? Finished second in the championship, Charles Leclerc. Finished second in the constructors, did Ferrari. This year, we are 4th in the standings and 14 points ahead of McLaren. After 3 races, Ferrari are 14 points ahead of McLaren. I can't even speak. I'm so emotionally caught up in the fact that all those points have gone down the toilet. At Seb_Frere, it just hurts being a Ferrari fan. And I've been quite emotionally available to McLaren fans in particular who hadn't scored any points up until the Australian Grand Prix and then banged in a little 6th and 8th, which is absolutely fantastic. Well done if you are a McLaren fan. I'm very happy for you. But now I'm going to need some emotional support back from you, okay? Please. At FB_F1_14, new year, new Leclerc. Look at me, I'm the Sainz now. Carlos Sainz, his team radio at the end of the race, we'll obviously get onto the crazy ending, but his team radio honestly broke my heart. It sounded like he was actually crying. But up until that moment, he drove unbelievably well. Did better than Leclerc in every instance of the Australian Grand Prix. Being Sainz was not a bad thing up until lap 57. But yeah. Is the luck going to turn around in Azerbaijan? I certainly hope so. And the final Ferrari meme comes in from EntXJ. Me on my way to the P1 Twitch stream after Leclerc goes off. I love that meme so much. You see it in so many different places, but seeing it in the context of your own emotional turmoil, it hits different. I won't lie to you. So thank you, EntJ, for your wonderful tweets. I'm glad you tuned in. To be honest, it was weird because I was so gassed that we had a race on our hands with the 2 Mercedes getting ahead of Verstappen at the start, that seeing Leclerc just backwards into the gravel, I was a bit dazed for a second. It took a moment to process that my sadness was definitely greater than my happiness for the overall race. And you would have seen as the sort of minutes went by during that Twitch stream, as the pain started to take over. Verstappen versus Hamilton. So I don't think we expected a little, I was going to call it a ding-dong. It wasn't really a ding-dong, Verstappen versus Hamilton, but it was a fight in some regard. I guess Hamilton did a move on lap 1, which was very saucy, to say the least. And I felt like Verstappen actually braked quite early, was being very sort of timid with his approach to the first lap. Anyway, tweets at CS_Tux. Verstappen right now. Of course, he flew past Hamilton, just opened DRS, and I'm pretty sure nitrous came out the back of that Red Bull as well. It was so quick in a straight line. He almost passed Hamilton before DRS was even allowed. So yeah, after that, Verstappen was plain sailing, chilling, and he was chilling so much that he almost fell asleep and went off at the penultimate corner, which definitely woke him up. At Nemeth11, sorry for butchering your name. Anyone doing fastest lap of the race? Verstappen. It felt that way. It felt like Max absolutely had it in hand. On the one hand, you might have a Hamilton or even maybe a Perez or whatever, whacking up the energy to 100, doing a ridiculous, like putting everything into a fastest lap, and then Verstappen will go, well, you probably see it on the screens and go, I've lost fastest lap. Let me just do another lap. Right, there we go. Purple again. It just, every single time he just took it back. At FM1_3316, POV, you're the DRS button Max pressed to zoom past Lewis. That's a different kind of meme, but I like it because it, kind of emphasises just how good his DRS is and just how good the straight line is on that Red Bull, which is kind of a role reversal, you could say, from 2021 when Mercedes had their rocket engine at the end of the year especially. At Matthew Guterri 3, Max in the DRS zones. So I feel as though this is a unanimous feeling that Red Bull is ridiculous. However, Perez only managing P5, and that was because of Sainz getting a penalty and Gasly being yeeting himself into non-existence. So what did we rate Perez's performance? Because I thought he would maybe challenge the podium, but it just didn't happen. Gravelgate. I thought I'd do a short segment on our first red flag of the race, which was when Alex Albon binned it and caused loads of gravel to go everywhere, and apparently that is the nemesis to a Formula 1 race. At Crystal Horner, George Russell seeing the red flag. I'm a bit... That's not big. Yeah, George, of course, he was leading the race. We had a fascinating battle ahead of us where George, Lewis, and then Max, and you're wondering, are the Mercs going to work together to somehow keep the Red Bull behind? How long would it last? Merc then made a reasonable strategy call, I'd say, to get George in early, get a free pit stop, whacking on the hard tyres, and then the red flag came out, and I'm sure George was fuming, but probably not as fuming as when he DNF'd. So mentally, I was actually okay with losing out on that whole spectacle once George had DNF'd, because it was like, well, it would have been ruined anyway. Do you see what I mean? It might not be making any sense. I got up at 5 a.m. At turn to page 394, Russell, you can't defeat me. I know, but he can. Yeah, I don't know. When I was in that moment, the emotion's obviously very high. The red flag's flown, and you're like, George, his race is ruined, the spectacle is ruined, maybe would have had a great little battle, at least in the first stint. On reflection, I think that the red flag was fair enough. The amount of gravel that was all over the track was pretty intense, and to be honest, I tweeted, the FIA heard of a broom, which, in smaller circumstances would have been fine, but I guess with the scale of which the gravel what was on the track, I can understand. They obviously got the sweeper out as well. So fair enough on the first red flag. The second red flag, however, is a very interesting topic. I didn't see how much debris there actually was on the track. Of course, there was a wheel or a tyre, which was just chilling, but that can get picked up under a safety car condition. It genuinely felt like the FIA looked at the lap counter and went, oh God, we could literally end under a safety car. What should we do? What should we do? Press the button. And then they just pressed the red button, boom, red flag, and then we got a showdown which caused carnage. Crazy ending. Red flag! 3 laps of pure, scintillating action. 4, 5 red lights! Hamilton? Oh, he's Alonso. I think Alonso's got a good start.
Alonso's got a good start.
Alonso! Oh, they locked up.
No!
Crash!
No!
Alonso's been hit!
Perez is out. Perez is off.
Oh my God, who's going to be... Oh, big crash!
Gasly!
Oh my God, this is it. It's just going to be one lap.
Hulkenberg's fourth!
Okay, we're on to our final segment, which is, of course, whatever the hell that hour, I don't even know how long it was. It was so long of delays, red flag, whatever. You know, it was definitely not the ending to the race that we all expected, as it was quite a mediocre affair up until that point. At MagX47, F1 red flag restart and F1 game sprint logos have never looked so similar. Now, Lando Norris had a post-race interview which gave us a little bit of an insight, I think, into how they actually felt out there, because Lando was saying it was really slow going to the grid, so therefore you couldn't get any tyre temperature, and even at 65 degrees, you would think that you'd get tyre temperature, but you really didn't. He also said that he felt like he was going to crash at every corner. So that showed just how little grip and tyre temperature these drivers had. And the mistakes were everywhere, absolutely everywhere. You had Logan Sargent binning De Vries in the background like they're having their own little lovemaking session. You, of course, had Perez going off on the gravel. You had Sainz smashing into Alonso. You had the two bloody Alpines coming together. Stroll manages to get through the first two corners and then goes, no, I'm not pressing the brake pedal, and just carries on into the gravel. It was absolute chaos. Which is exactly what the next tweet highlights. At Neil Shah 248, lap 56 onwards. With Lando as well. Lando said he was basically just trying to avoid everyone, which it felt that way. It felt like it was Mario Kart. At this_is_Kush Drive to Survive producers watching the end of this race. You just know there was a small chance that Hulkenberg was gonna get that bloomin' podium and finally break the record. Just have some silverware from Formula One. There was a chance, so I reckon they're just running around. Oh my God, Hulk. Oh my God, here, we need to film here, we need to film here. I can't wait to see how they cover that because, yeah, not only this, but I would like to see the behind the scenes because the team radios sort of highlighted that the drivers thought it was a bit ridiculous, the amount of red flags they were having. At L_Rushy, what have they given him a penalty if the lap doesn't exist now? Of course, this is to do with Carlos Sainz. And I felt exactly the same way in the moment. It was like, well, you've deleted the lap. How can you then go and penalise Carlos for a lap that doesn't necessarily exist? And it all comes back down, as I remind myself now, when you take emotion out and you actually think, right, what are the rules? The consequence of an incident doesn't matter in Formula One. That's what they say. I don't believe it, but that's what's written down. The consequence doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where that car ends up. It's the actual action which is what is penalised. So the stewards do not take into account the fact that it was a countback. They look at the incident and see what it's supposed to get. For me, it's so heartbreaking because you could tell how much that meant to Carlos, how much he'd put into that race. He knew he'd had an amazing Australian Grand Prix up until that point. I can understand why he got a penalty. Alonso, he hit Alonso. Alonso got spun. That is... But then even that part's the consequence. So you then ask yourself, at what point do you stop looking at the consequence? Is it just the touch? Is it when Alonso goes, and then they go, well, we're not looking at it anymore, Max, that's the consequence? I don't know. The FIA, they are a wild... they're a wild organisation. But yeah, I did feel sorry for Carlos, but it's not out of this realms of possibility that he did deserve a 5-second penalty. At Subhic SM, peeps at DTS seeing this Ocon and Gasly crash. I love that meme so much, but it's so true. I'm sure they're loving it. We needed some kind of spice. We've got a month until the next race. The end of April is Azerbaijan. What are we supposed to do? We've only just had the Formula One season come back. You're going to have to stay tuned to Matt P1 Tommy on all good platforms because that's how we're going to keep you up to date and entertained for the next month. Shameless plug. Also as well, if you want to come to our live show, which is pretty much this week, this Thursday coming, Leicester Square Theatre, London. There's a few tickets left. I'd love to see you there. We can talk all about the Australian Grand Prix and other bits and bobs. We're going to have fun, interactivity, the works. Link in the description. Oh, we've got another tweet from Crystal Horner. Well done. Good memes. It's getting wild out here. Lap 1 to 9. Yeah, lap 56 was mental. In a weird way, do we kind of enjoy it? Like the drama, the controversy, the, oh my God, I can't believe the FIA did this, or, you know, it gets us talking. We enjoy the discussion. Maybe we don't enjoy when there's clownery and that it brings the sport into disrepute, but the whole chaos of that red flag and the restart, and yeah, I still feel like it was somewhat enjoyable. At June Seps, I have covered it, but I'm going to include it. 5-second penalty, but the lap doesn't officially count. Why can't he just be normal? Well, the lap does actually count as much. So the position changes didn't count, but the lap 57 did count. And then we went on to lap 58, which was the final lap and the formation lap, and then it was over. So technically it did count, as much as I think just the way it's communicated by commentators and stuff, it just sounds like, oh, well, we go backwards in time. But we don't. We go forwards in time, but remember the order before they started the restart. Got it? At XEO_Milan, the FIA, after 3 race restarts, 5 red flags, and the Alpine crashing with each other. Oh, it was so good to see Danny Rick, wasn't it? Smiling with his 18 million in the bank and doesn't have to drive the McLaren. Oh no, they got double points. Let's not slander them today. They did a very good job. But Danny's not having the worst time of his life, is he? Come on. He's doing okay. And finally, this one made me laugh. At Simply Lovely, Michael Massey looking at this madness. I mean, fair play to Michael Massey. He has got some serious minerals to turn up to the Australian Grand Prix weekend and just swan about the fan zone with no care in the world. If I was him, I wouldn't have done that, but, you know, he's got some confidence. Right, it's Tommy's tasty tweet time. We've got him on the line right now, looking delicious as always, like a little scrumptious dessert. Tommy, what have you got today?
Well, you'd be surprised to hear that it's about Fernando Alonso. It's by El Bell, and it's this one saying, Alonso finding science after the race. And that classic Fernando meme.
That picture is just so meme-worthy, isn't it? It's incredible.
Had to be done.
But probably not as inquisitive of a look, considering he kept his podium. If he hadn't kept his podium, I think he's 100%. Sainz is not thinking Alonso of his hero as his hero anymore.
No, his bestie and compatriot. But they'd have had a big old fallout if it had been anymore.
Well, thank you so much, Tommy. As always, you are wonderful, and we will see you next time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Tommy's tasty tweet. Bye.
Bye.
Right, that is it. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Funniest Tweets Australian Grand Prix Crazy Edition. If you want to get involved next time, use the hashtag P1 and you may well have your tweet featured after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We've got a pre. We've got a month to go until Azerbaijan, but we'll keep you entertained on Twitch, on YouTube, on social media, Matt P1 Tommy, and we'll see you very soon for another video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!